Manx Radio Sport.
Good evening and welcome to our listeners on Manx Radio, crystal clear DAB and also AM 1368 to your latest edition of Saturday Sport Classified here on Manx Radio. A roundup of the latest football, rugby and hockey scores taking place across the Isle of Man and beyond today. We'll take a good look at those in detail in just a few moments' time, and we will also be having the live draw for the mixed cup competitions in Manx hockey to come this evening. But first off, your classified results for today, Saturday the 16th of September 2023. They are as follows. In the Canada Life Men's Premier League, Union Mills 5, Braddon 1, Ramsey 5, Laxey 2, Russian United 4, Ayr United 5, Peel 3, St Mary's 4, Douglas Royal 3, Corinthians 3, Moran 1, St George's 3. In DPS Limited Division 2, Douglas and District vs Castletown postponed. Maloo 3, Onken 3. Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys 1, Governors Athletic 3. Jims vs Michael United postponed. Douglas High School Old Boys 1, Colby 2. Canada Life Combination 1. Braddon 1, Union Mills 5. Laxey vs Ramsey awaiting result. Ayr United 4, Russian United 2. St Mary's 4, Peel 2. Corinthians 2, Douglas Royal 0. DPS Limited Combination 2. Castletown 9, Douglas and District 1. Onken vs Maloo, home walkover to Onken, Maloo unable to field a team. Governors Athletic 1, Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys 3. Michael United 14, Jims 1. And Colby 1, Douglas High School Old Boys 4. And in the North West Counties Football League Premier Division, Squires Gate 3, FC Isle of Man 2. In rugby, the Regional 2 North West, Douglas 17, Liverpool St Helens 21. And now in Isle of Man hockey, the Mixed Premier League. Backers A 9, Backers B 1. Vikings A 5, Ramsey A 0. Valkyries A 3, Vikings B 0. Castletown Celts 7, Harlequins A 3. Mixed Division 1. Valkyries B 6, Backers C 0. Castletown Southerners 4, Vikings C 0. Castletown Camags vs Valkyries awaiting result. Mixed Division 2. Vikings E 0, Backers Colts 4. Ramsey Ravens 0, Vikings D 6. Castletown Cushags 1, Valkyries D 0. Mixed Division 3. Castletown Cosney 4, Harlequins C 5. Castletown Carrick 0, Harlequins B 9. Backers D 3, Ramsey Rookies 3. The Mixed Under-15s League. Castletown Sharks 3, Valkyries 4. Vikings vs Castletown Sabres awaiting result. Harlequins vs Ramsey Rogues and Rascals awaiting result. And Backers A vs Backers B awaiting result. Those are your classified results for Saturday the 16th of September 2023 as they stand. We do have some results outstanding, and particularly in the hockey as well. They were late pushbacks that we're waiting on that started at 3:30 and have only just finished recently, so I'm sure we'll get details of that in the next few moments. Well, taking a look at another action-packed day of football here on the Isle of Man. Goals galore as it was last week as well, and today absolutely no exception. Tony Mepham joins us. He was out at Garymore earlier today covering one of the Premier League fixtures. We'll get to that in a moment. But Tony, very good evening to you. Another thrilling day in Manx football.
Yeah, it's been quite exciting and the weather was good as well, because a little bit of wind where we were up at Union Mills, but the rest of it I think everyone sort of had good playing conditions, and even though that rain that came in yesterday afternoon and also first thing this morning didn't spoil it too much, and lots of goals and lots of things to talk about.
Well, the weather did wreak havoc on a couple of fixtures, as we found out earlier today, and they were Jims versus Michael and Douglas and District versus Castletown in DPS Limited Division 2 postponed. Not because of a waterlogged pitch, it's worth clarifying, but it's to do with pitch markings, wasn't it?
Yeah, it can be difficult because you got to remember that a lot of these people are volunteers. And we've still got the light at night at the moment, so I know a lot of people marked their pitch last night, but then the rain came, so it's obviously spread it. And then this morning, there's no way you could have got on it because I was up at Ballafletcher about 7:45 and the boys were looking to mark the pitch then. It was a bit too wet, so they just waited a bit of time before they did it. But yeah, it's just one of those things. We lost 2 games, and the Maloo one, we knew at the start of the season, Maloo were really pushing for 2 teams, and we said, we'd work with them to try and keep it going. Unfortunately, today they couldn't field the team out, but I'm sure they'll be back to normal next week. It was just one of those weeks where a lot of players away.
Indeed, always the circumstances we have to consider when we go into a sporting weekend. Yep. Well, let's take a look at some of the results then, shall we? We'll start in the Canada Life Men's Premier League, and we're actually going to start here, Tony, with the game that you were at this afternoon over at Gary Moore. Union Mills, after just narrowly missing out after a thrilling game against Laxey last week, 5-4 defeat that day. Well, Union Mills, they've hit 5 today up against Braddon. Union Mills beating Braddon by 5-1.
Yeah, and I think Union Mills deserved it in the end. In the first half, certainly in the first half an hour, it was pretty even, and probably Braddon played the better of the football, but not too many goal-scoring opportunities. Lee Cura had one in the first, 20 minutes, and then Luke Booth had an opportunity, but didn't quite happen. But then the one that started it all off was really a bit of a bizarre one, because the ball was played long over through the middle, and James Young, it was a good busy player, him, number 11, went to control it, went under his feet, but he did get a touch to it, and that caught the goalkeeper out and it crossed the line. 1-0 it was to Union Mills. And then the second one, Owen Quayle, and it was just either in or outside the penalty area, hit it with his left foot, got past the goalkeeper on his left-hand side to make it 2-0, and 2-0 it was at half-time. But then start the second half, you just thought, Braddon have got to try and get something early, and it was Luke Booth who put one away to make it 3-0 to Union Mills. And then an absolute belter from Braddon, because the ball was played out to Dylan Barton. He hit it well with his right foot. Goalkeeper Mason Pridge stood no chance at all, and into the net it went. And I just thought Braddon might be able to build on that. But then Union Mills had different ideas. Lewis Hicks, good cross in. Lewis Hicks got above the defence, got the header, hit the post, and it looked as if it crossed the line. But if it didn't matter, because Owen Quayle was there to make sure. So 4-1 it was. And then Ed Canner, who you remember played for Russian last season, he scored the 5th one. Good strike by him. Whether it took a little bit of a deflection, but it wasn't much. Caught the goalkeeper out, and 5-1 it finished to Union Mills. So cracking result for them, and I'm sure Paul Guyver's chuffed to bits with that.
Well, we do have some more details on the scorers of games across the divisions coming in. Thank you very much for texting through to us. Those who have done so in the last few minutes, will come to those games when we do in just a couple of moments' time. But the next game, the Canada Life Men's Premier League, was a bit of intrigue around this one. Ramsey hosting Laxey, who have set the early pace. Ramsey up against the Laxey side, who have been scoring goals for fun, but ran it close against Union Mills last week. But Ramsey stunning Laxey a little bit here. And Tony, you talked about this earlier with Paul Moran, in fact, that if Ramsey were able to maybe get the Laxey backline, they might have a bit of joy. And it's Ramsey, they did have that joy, and they've taken all 3 points at the Balaclone. They've beaten Laxey by 5-2.
That's a tremendous result, and I don't know how the scoring went. I think Laxey might have taken the lead, but I'll be corrected on that one if not. And Ben Wazzer it was who got the goal, but then Dylan Pickles equalised, I think it was, for Ramsey. I've only got one other scorer for Ramsey, and that's Charlie Higgins. So if you text us through, please, 166177.
We have had that message. I'll just interject there. We have had the message. So it was 4 for Dylan Pickles today and the 1 for Charlie Higgins as well. And the Laxey scorers today, Tom Creer and Ben Wasser, as you've already pointed out, Tony. But Dylan Pickles, that is some prolific form against the Laxey team that some people are really tipping this season. It's a bit of maybe a bit of a reality check. Is that too harsh a term?
No, I don't think it's a reality check. I think when you look at their players that they've got starting last week and the week before, fine. I don't know the team start this week, but as I touched on at lunchtime, I don't see a defence there. I see midfield and I see forwards, but I don't see defenders. And, when they conceded 4 last week, and then they've conceded 5 this week, there's your answer. So that's something that Johnny Palmer has got to look at. But Dylan Pickles, he's a good player, Dylan. And cheeky little so-and-so, in a nice way, I'm saying it. He is. You always have good banter with Dylan. He'll be absolutely buzzing with this one. So hopefully I don't see him for a couple of weeks. He doesn't just tell me how good he was. But there's not very often that a player can score 4 goals or more in the Premier League. Dylan's done it tonight, so enjoy the night, and I'm pretty certain he's getting a few beers in.
Yeah, big result for Ramsey today. Well, there was goals galore down in the south of the island at Croyt Lowy today. Russian United hosting Ayr United, who made the long journey from the north of the island today. And boy, oh boy, was it a great game over at Croyt Lowy today. Russian United 4, Ayr United 5.
Yeah, right home and dinger this one. I don't know how the scoring went. I'm just trying to get the scorers through from the first team, but certainly today with Ayr United, I've only got one goal scorer. I've just texted Jamie to see if I can get the others in. I know Chris Duggan scored one, but Danny Oram I think got a goal as well. But if you can text us through, please, and we'll give the boys a mention. But that would have been a great game to watch, because I think Ayr had the game safe, and then suddenly, Russian came back into it.
Well, one thing I can tell you was that at one point Ayr United were winning by 5 goals to 2, and Russian grabbed 2 back towards the end, setting up a bit of a grandstand finish. So from Russian United's perspective, not quite the grandstand finish they were looking for, but great spirit to get them back into that game.
Well, it is, and Russian at the moment, I find it tough going. Andrew Moody in his new role, and a lot of good young players in there, so they'll come good. But Ayr United missed that first game of the season, but since then have come back with 2 good results. And I'm pretty certain Nick Hurt's very happy with the way things are going, and with other players coming back in as well, it's going to make them stronger.
Well, there were more goals going in the west of the island as well, and a bit of a statement from one of the newly promoted sides today out at Douglas Road, because Peel, the defending champions, beaten at home by St Mary's by 4 goals to 3.
That's a tremendous result for St Mary's, because I don't know if you know, Rob, at one stage Peel were 2-0 up, but it was an own goal, Therese Thompson, that started it off, gave Peel the lead, and then I think it was Paul Whitehead who got the second, 2-0 to Peel, looking comfortable, and I think it was 2-0 at half-time, but then St Mary's really got it together. That man who scored that own goal put things right, because he got 2 goals for his own team. So well done, Therese. So a hat-trick in total, but 1 the wrong way and 2 the right way. But Joe Berquist, who's really quick down that right-hand side, he got 1. And Josh Evans as well, probably a set piece, that one, because Josh is huge, 6'4", 6'5", and he got a goal. But it was Lewis Moran who got the other one for Peel. Disappointment there for Daniel Bell and Mark Kelly, but St Mary's will be absolutely buzzing. That's a great result from a promoted side to beat the champions 4-3.
And then we had the Bala Fletcher derby in the Canada Life Men's Premier League as well. Douglas Royal taking on Corinthians today. And honours even in another high-scoring game. Douglas Royal 3, Corinthians 3.
Yeah, and for Corinthians, Joe Marquez got the first one. Then Douglas Royal equalised. Then I believe it went 2-1 Douglas Royal. Don't know who got the second goal. Then Josh Ryder made it 2-2, scored from the penalty spot. And then it was Douglas Royal took the lead 3-2. And then Danny Gerard equalised to make it 3-3. So if you could fill those 2 spaces, goal scorers, Harley Jackson got the first, don't know who got the second, third. But 3-3 points even, and a great result for Douglas Royal, I think.
Indeed, and a bit of a crucial game going on at Memorial Playing Fields today as well, between Moran and St George's. Both teams just looking to find that bit of a springboard in these early stages of the season. Moran and St George's coming together in that game, and the visitors coming out on top here. 3 goals and 3 points. St George's beating Moran at the Memorial Playing Fields by 3 goals to 1.
Yeah, and Johnny Myers absolutely buzzing with this result. He said it was superb performance by St George's. Adam Boyd got 1, Richard Wynne on the score sheet again, and Sean Quay. Well deserved. The minute's silence for for things that we know about now was impeccably adhered to. So well done to everyone there. I believe the family were there as well. So nice little touch, but fantastic, and our thoughts are with the family.
Absolutely. And we've just also had a message in to confirm Ayr United's goal scorers in the Premier League. Tony Meppen, so I'll pass these on to you. There were 2 goals in it for Danny Oram, and we had Chris Duggan, Declan Cummins and Chris Penswick as well.
Yep. Okay.
So there we are, Ayr United's goal scorers. Thank you very much for texting us in with those. So now we move on to DPS Limited Division 2. Now, as we mentioned earlier and earlier today as well, there were 2 games postponed, and they are Douglaston District versus Castletown and Jims versus Michael United. And this is because that markings on the pitch were washed away due to the rather wet weather that we had over the hours leading up to the game. So those games will be played at a later date. But let's take a look at the games that did go ahead. 3 went ahead in Division Division 2, starting with Malou versus Onken, and Onken have been off to a flying start already, but Onken have been held by a very resilient Malou side today, 3-3 between the two.
Yeah, superb performance, and I think Malou battled really hard for this one. Excuse me. Paddy Cooper got one. Mike Kenny scored from the penalty spot. Kieran Krippner got a goal. But for Onken, Connor Dawson scored. Josh Kanyuk and Tom O'Neill got the equaliser. And superb referee's performance by Rob Slinger, which is well done to him, because he really is a good referee. And, well done to him. And, thanks for the club for letting us know.
You got the same messages in front of me that credited Rob Slinger with a great refereeing performance as well.
Yeah,
the message that we've got through as well.
Yep.
Okay, moving on. Ramsey Youth Centre Old Boys up against Governors Athletic. Governors Athletic on top here. It finished Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys 1, Governors Athletic 3.
Yeah, just running a little bit scared on this one here. The reason why I say that, I've got Ramsey Youth Centre 1, Governors 3, and I've got the same scoreline in the combi. But I'm not too sure about the goal scorers. But certainly for Ramsey Youth Centre, it was... I need to get this one checked, Rob. I've got 3-1 here for Governors, but I've got 3 goal scorers down who actually play for Ramsey Youth Centre. So that could be given the wrong way round. So we'll check on
we'll
that
seek
one.
We'll seek some clarity on that.
Yep.
We've obviously got some cross lines there, so
Yep.
we'll try and clarify that in the next few minutes.
Yep.
But let's take a look. In the meantime, DPS Limited Division 2, the other game that took place between Douglas High School Old Boys and Colby. Colby back-to-back wins in their opening games, and now they've made it 3 from 3 up against one of the sides relegated from the Premier League last season over at Blackberry Lane. Douglas High School Old Boys 1, Colby 2.
Yeah, and again, good performance this by Colby, because Old Boys, are expected to do well in this league, and that's 2 defeats in the last 2 games for them. Paul Whitley, I believe, scored 1, and Seb Spears got the other one. So that's 3 out of 3 for Colby. So they're high flying up there, I think, in second spot with that 2-1 result against Douglas High School Old Boys.
And then we move on to Canada Life Combination 1 as well. And we have had an extra score coming in. I think this looks like one of the combi results we're looking for, but we'll just try and confirm that in a little bit as well. We'll start with Braddon versus Union Mills. Well, between the first teams, Union Mills 5-1 winners. And between the combi teams, Union Mills 5-1 winners.
They're not being outdone, are they? And Tom Kilgore got the goal for Braddon. Half-time was 3-1 to Union Mills. But Luke Strick at Morland with 2 goals. Lee Christian got 1. Richie Cannell on the score sheet as well. And an own goal. Super result for Union Mills, 5-1.
And we've just had confirmation, thank you very much for texting in, Dickie, about the Ramsey Youth Centre Old Boys Governors Athletic game as well. It was indeed a 3-1 victory to Ramsey Youth Centre Old Boys, and we do have the scorers in front of us as well. If I can just find the correct message that's been sent in. Adrian Scribucha, Ross Crawford and Joe Defaney,
correct.
The scorers.
They're the goal scorers I've got, but they're down for Governors. So
after some vagaries in this particular scoreline, we seem to have got that down. So just for confirmation, if you missed it, Ramsey Youth Centre Old Boys 3, Governors Athletic 1. Thank you very much for sending us through those details. Okay, let's continue then with Canada Life Combination 1 as well. We are still awaiting a score for Laxey versus Ramsey, so please do text us in if you can, 166 177. But Ayr United against Russian United up at Andreas Playing Fields, and Ayr United victors here by 4-2.
And when you look at the times that the goals were scored, amazing. Ayr United were 4-0 up at half-time. The first goal went in after 2 minutes, Harry Reid. The second one, Declan Leyland on 13. Mike Nixon got one on 19 minutes, and there's Chris Robinson got one on 45. So 4-0 after 45 minutes. Then Ted Pepper got one for Russian on 54 to make it 4-1. Matty Lamb got one on 80 minutes, and then 2 minutes before the end, Josh Toar got a goal. So it finished up Ayr Russian 3, and that's Russian's second defeat in 3 games this season. When you think of last year, not rubbing it in, they won all their games and all their cup games. So just shows you how it's a little bit tougher this year in Combination 1.
Different landscape potentially in these early stages. Well, let's take a look then at St Mary's versus Peel in Combination 1 as well. And St Mary's, like their first team, coming out on top against the Westerners. St Mary's 4, Peel 2.
Yeah, terrific result again, because Peel probably, to me, the second best team in this league. And Kieran Broadhead and Alec Ekalango got the goals for Peel. But for St Mary's, the top goal scorer from last season, Kieran Smith, got 2. Liam Bowley got 1. And Jamie Skillen, playing in the combination, got the other goal. St Mary's 4, Peel 2.
And we have had just another of those Combination 1 results in, the one we were waiting for, Laxey versus Ramsey as well. Thank you very much for messaging us in, and it finished Laxey 2, Ramsey 4. So we're just getting... I've got a very succinct message that goes with this. Ramsey dominated. That's all we have just at the moment there, but we don't know. We don't have scorers just at the moment. If we get that information, we will get that out there as soon as possible. But just to confirm with that result that we were waiting for in combination 1, it finished Laxey 2, Ramsey 4. So Ramsey victors in both the first team clash and the combi clash
Good
there.
Results, yeah.
And then rounding off combination 1, Corinthians and Douglas Royal, the other of the Ballafletcher derbies, as it were. Corinthians coming on top here by 2-0.
Yeah, and I think it's his first senior goal for the combination, if I'm right. Archie Walters got one, and certainly not his first goal. It's probably about his 200th. Is Nigel Moody still scoring plenty, and hopefully he's got legs tomorrow for the Masters game. But yeah, Corinthians, good result there. Archie Walters with one, Nigel Moody with the other.
And then we move into DPS Limited Combination 2. 3 of the 4 games went ahead today. The other, Onken versus Malou, has already been awarded as a home walkover to Onken, with Malou sadly unable to field a team this week. But plenty of goals in the other 3 games. Let's start down in the south between Castletown and Douglas and District, and a commanding win for Castletown today in Combination 2, beating Douglas and District by 9-1.
3-0 at half time, and you can see why Castletown had a good day today in the office in this one, because Danny Lane, normally a first teamer, he got 4. Nathan Cardy, he got a couple of goals. Kieran Cottam, Aaron Field and Ollie Lee got the other one. Haven't got Douglas and District goal scorer, but good result that for Castletown.
I think I said 3 of the 4 games have gone ahead in combination 1. It's actually 4 of the 5, because I didn't manage to turn over the page right in front of me to the other one, which we'll get round to. So 4 of the 5 games have gone ahead in combination 2. The only exception, Onken versus Malou. Let's take a look at Governors Athletic versus Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys. This was played at Colby. Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys, 3-1 winners.
And it was 3-1 winners. Haven't got any goal scorers, Rob. Have we got anything?
Nothing in front of me at the moment. But elsewhere, Michael United versus Jims. The first team game between these two clubs not going ahead because of the weather and affecting the pitch markings. But this one, a very one-sided contest. Michael United 14, Jims 1.
Haven't got the half-time score, but for Jims it was Ali Sinclair who got the goal. But for Michael, it was Nathan Farragher with 6, Tomo Burnett with 3, Chris Padden got a couple of goals, Kyle Moore and Corbin Bowers, I think it was, and an own goal as well. So comfortable result that for Michael in combination 2, foot team 1.
And rounding out our results in DPS Limited Combination 2, it finished Colby 1, Douglas High School Old Boys 4.
Yeah, no goal scorers for Old Boys, but for Colby, it was Matthew Wilson who got the goal.
Well, those are your results across the Isle of Man Football Leagues for today. Don't forget, we do, of course, have the Isle of Man Women's season getting underway tomorrow. We'll come to that in a little bit. We'll have a bit of a chat about that. But we're going to turn now to the North West Counties Football League Premier Division. FC Isle of Man went into today's game away at Squires Gate, looking to end a run of 4 games without a victory. And all started extremely well. They led 2-0 at half-time today at the Brian Addison Stadium, but it all unravelled for Paul Jones' side in the next 45 minutes. 3 goals from Squires Gate saw the hosts rally back to take all 3 points in a game where FC Isle of Man ended not only with a defeat but down to 10 men as well to lose 3-2. Now 3 consecutive defeats for the Ravens. Well, at full time, I got the chance to speak with FC Isle of Man's manager Paul Jones to find out what potentially went wrong and saw his side unravel in the second half and his team leaving Blackpool empty-handed.
Yes, that's a really good question. I think, you can't sometimes legislate for, giving goals away, and that's exactly what we did in the first few minutes of the second half, really. And then, that rocked everyone a little bit, and we didn't really find our feet quickly enough to recover. And they went a little bit more direct and had numbers up the front. But we'd spoken that they might do that, and what we needed to do to make sure that didn't cause us a problem, and we didn't switch on to that anywhere near quickly enough. And it was a poor second half, certainly the first 20 minutes or so, and we did have some sustained pressure, and we should have maybe scored a goal or 2 in the second half, but they should have done as well. So I thought we were excellent, certainly for the first 30 minutes, and especially after a poor preparation, coming off a delay and then, getting here quite late and rushing things a little bit. But I thought we were fine first half and looked really comfortable. And, second half, it was a different story, really. And they caught us on the break 3 times. And that was it, kind of, difficult to come back from that. It's not a very good day at the office, really, today.
Do you think that a result like that is more of a mentality thing, because your team got themselves into that good position before the break, and then, like as we've said, it all just seemed to kind of come apart in the second half? Do you think that was more of a mental thing, or was it more down to Squires Gate adapting a little better to cause you more problems?
They didn't change a huge amount at half time, really. It's definitely kind of mentality, and we're trying to build a group that works hard for each other, and that does consistently making good decisions through a game of 90 minutes. And first half I thought we did that, and second half I thought we didn't, and that is enough at this level to cause you problems. And so we're once again got ourselves to blame, and that needs to stop. And we created lots of chances first half, and that was just really, really pleasing. And again, we created lots of chances second half, but some consistent frailties there, and we're doing our best to remedy them. And we need to do that together, pretty sharpish.
Paul Jones, FC Isle of Man manager, after his side's 3-2 defeat at the hands of Squires Gate today. Well, before we let him go, Tony, we'll get your thoughts on this. FC Isle of Man, that's now 5 games without a win. That's 3 straight defeats. Very positive first half from FC Isle of Man today, 2-0 up, but ended up on the receiving end of a 3-2 defeat in that second half. What do you think is it possibly a bit of a mental thing in terms of these games? They're always talking about the fact that in pockets of games, large pockets of games, they're happy with the way they're performing, but losing out in key moments. Is it the discipline that FC Isle of Man have to work on just a little bit at the moment?
It's hard to say, Rob, because they haven't been scoring goals for a start off, but they seem to be playing well in the first half, or playing well, and then they just sort of don't concentrate, and they concede in these goals. But this is a tough league. But at the start of the season I thought this is going to be hard for them, and then they've had that super run, whatever it was, 4 games on the bounce that they won, and it looked really good. There's a lot of away games in there, and I just wonder if that may be sort of conscious with them as well, because
tiredness and the travel and so on.
Yeah, it does. Like, I went away with them once, and to be honest with you, I wasn't playing, and I was shattered when I came back, because just silly little things. You think on the boat you're relaxing, and then on the coach you're relaxing, but there could be all that. But I think it's a little bit of inconsistency as well with the team selection. I know Steve Whitley was back in the squad today, but the fitness to Sean Doyle and others, Charlie Higgins playing in the Isle of Man League today, and Dan Simpson, there's an outlet for them on the left hand side. But they'll get it back, because the good thing about it is, as you've noticed as well, Rob, is that the top teams are dropping points as well. I know Kendall are sort of running away a little bit, and Bury are just behind them, but the rest of the teams keep cancelling each other out.
Extremely close in that league at the moment, from top to bottom.
Is. When you think of it, it was only 2 weeks ago. If they'd have won that midweek game, they would have gone second. So that's how close it is. So I don't think it's panic stations for them, but they need to get some wins under the belt, get confidence in, and some good home support. I think the next home game's on the 30th of September. I'm sure correct it.
And that's 12 games played, so that means, by my calculations, 34 still to play. So a lot of the season and a lot of football still to play, but maybe just a bit of a bitter pill to swallow, I guess, for FC Isle of Man today. Well, Tony, thank you very much indeed. We're now going to be talking rugby, and over to the Regional 2 Northwest in the one competitive game for Isle of Man sides today in the leagues. Douglas, after narrow back-to-back defeats in their opening 2 games of the campaign, they were back at Portashee today, welcoming fellow strugglers Liverpool St Helens. And to get all the details from that particular game, we will now be joined hopefully by Dave Christian. Dave, very good evening to you. We can certainly hear some activity in the background there, but I don't think we can quite hear Dave Christian at the moment. But just before we do connect with Dave, we'll just bring you the score from that game. Douglas 17, Liverpool St Helens 21. And we can we'll give this a go in just a little bit of a moment. But Douglas also narrow defeats on the opening day, an 8-6 defeat to Furwood Waterloo at Portashee, followed by a narrow defeat again last weekend to strugglers Kirby Lonsdale as well. Well, we certainly picked up plenty of ambience wherever he is, but let's see if we can get a voice to match the environment. Let's see if Dave Christian is there. Take 2, Dave Christian. Are you there for us? Doesn't look like we're going to be getting hold of Dave Christian anytime soon, but wherever he is, and he seems to be on his travels at the moment with all things rugby related. We'll hope to catch up with him later on in the programme there and try and sort that out for you. But in the meantime, we will move on to hockey, and a man who is always waiting very patiently during this programme. He must feel like he has to wait a whole lot of time before we get to him, but not the case today. We're going to hand over to Ben Cunningham in terms of the hockey that's been going on today. Ben, a very good evening to you.
Good evening, yeah. I'm just listening to Tony there, all the postponements. It's a shame to hear it, but yeah, we got a full run of games today, which was great to see.
Absolutely, and we'll take a look through those. And don't forget as well, in the next few minutes, once we've taken a look at the action that's been happening on the pitch today, we will be bringing you the live draw for the first round of the mixed cup, plate and bowl competitions. That coming up in just a few minutes' time. Well, let's take a look at the games that have taken place today. We'll start with the mixed Premier League. All games pushed back at 2:05 today, and we'll start with an interclub derby. The defending champions Backers A up against Backers B in what is always going to be a tough game for a B team, no matter what type of interclub derby it is. And same again today, and Backers A with a professional performance against their second string. Backers A 9, Backers B 1.
Yeah, 9-1 win for Backers A, and that's another good performance again. It was another 9-1 win for them last week against Harlequins. But they have slipped 2 goals in, and last year they were known for keeping good clean sheets and that. So maybe some work there to look at, but who knows. Carl Moore with 3, Emma Courter with 3, Callum Robb with 2, and Elliot Reid with 1 for Backers A. And for Backers B, it was Tony Bentley Roberts.
And then we look to Ramsey Grammar School. Vikings A up against Ramsey A. Now, Ramsey A, a narrow defeat for them against Vikings B last week, but a little bit more of a gap between the two sides here. Vikings A with a comprehensive victory today, beating Ramsey A by 5-0. Yeah,
Vikings A definitely don't want to let Backers A get out of their reach this season, and they're keeping the pressure on. Will Bryson with 1, Darryl Jago with 1, Dom Hubble, Kim Carney, and Neil Crow.
And then we go to the west of the island and to QE2. And Valkyries A taking on Vikings B. And you, Ben, said this could be quite a close game on paper, but you wondered if maybe the experience of this Valkyries A side might cause Vikings B some problems. And indeed, that's proved to be the case, because the hosts Valkyries A have beaten Vikings B today by 3-0.
Yeah, and the message I got from the Valkyries game was the Vikings B keeper was absolutely outstanding and kept the score to just 3. So I haven't got a name of the Vikings B goalkeeper, but credit where it's due. You know, you've stuck in there and kept the score down to just 3. Lewis Nova-Smith with 1, Ollie Webster with 1, and Ellen Roberts.
And the last game in the Mixed Premier League today was in the south at Castle Rushen High School. Castletown Celts up against the newly promoted Harlequins A. Harlequins A, a real baptism of fire in the Mixed Premier League last week when they took on the defending champions Backers A up against the Castletown Celts side that very pleasantly surprised a lot of people during last season. And this proved to be an entertaining game today, and Castletown, the hosts, coming out on top in this one. Castletown Celts 7, Harlequins A 3.
Yeah, sounds a real entertaining game. Lots of goals, and from what the messages were saying, both teams had chances but just couldn't finish them. Castletown, though, got 7, and Macklin Wilson got 2. Shea Christian with 2, George Powell, Hannah Leese, and Dulcie Tia. And then for Harlequins, it was Ronan Santarotolio and Alfie Swales with 2.
And then we move into Mixed Division 1. The 12:35 pushback at QE2, so just before the game we mentioned before, was Valkyries B up against Backers C. And Valkyries B, a great result for them today, winning by 6-0.
Yeah, I had a good feeling that Valkyries B would go out and get a result today, and they have. Neil Jacobs with 1, Ali Fepiano with 1, Ethan Adams with 1, and Flo Barber with hat-trick.
And then in the south of the island at King William's College, Castletown Southerners up against Vikings C. Now, Ben, you mentioned ahead of the weekend that Castletown Southerners, with the result that they had in midweek, their rearranged fixture, that there have been mentions from the opposition that this could be a side that could very well be pushing towards the top spots in the league toward the latter parts of the season. And they've certainly made an impression again today. They've beaten Vikings C by 4-0.
Yeah, Andy Winstanley with 2, Eden McCubbin with 1, and Dave Clark-Wilson with 1. And I'm going to make a prediction here that I think that this league is going to be a 2-horse race between Valkyries B and Castletown Southerners.
He's thrown the gauntlet down already. It's only week 2.
I know, but I'm being brave here.
Indeed you are. It's a very bold statement. I'm sure the other clubs will have something to say on that, but we'll wait and see anyway. And, well, obviously that is just one of many Castletown teams that are playing in the mixed divisions this season, and another in the same division is Castletown Camags. They took on Valkyries C at QE2. Valkyries coming out on top in this one with another comprehensive scoreline, and Castletown Camags 1, Valkyries C 7.
Yeah, Valkyries C last in midweek against Castletown Southerners were on suffered the heavy defeat, and this week they've absolutely turned it around, and they've got the big defeat over Castletown Camags. Jules Collins with 3, Rob Conn with 1, Molly Thomas with 1, Chris Thomas with 1, Alex Freer with 1, and then for Castletown Camags it was Kira Cooper.
And then we move into Mixed Division 2. 3 games today. And starting with the early pushback at 11:05 was Vikings E against Backers Colts. And Ben, you said on paper this was another one of those games that was very close to call indeed. But there was a clear winner today. Not by an enormous margin, but clear enough, I think, to show dominance just today. Vikings E 0, Backers Colts 4.
Yeah, I mean, half-time it was 2-0 to Backers Colts. So 2 goals in the first half, 2 goals in the second half. And a job well done by Backers Colts to fend off Vikings E. Dave Partons with 1, Andy Bryson with 1, and Ross Grimley with 2.
Very well. And then over at Ramsey Grammar School, Ramsey Ravens hosted Vikings D, and Vikings D with the journey up to Ramsey. Well, it was certainly worth their while today. Vikings D beating Ramsey Ravens by 6-0. Yeah,
an absolutely commanding performance there by Vikings D. And again, this will definitely put them up top of the league. Ben Dougal with 2, Andy Harding with 1, Adam Brywood with 1, Blake Kane with 1, and Ian Perry with 1.
And in the other game in Mixed Division 2, a much closer affair, this one between Castletown Cushags and Valkyries D. 1-1 it finished, so all square between the two.
Yeah, 1-1, and the comments I've had from the game on the messages were it was very end-to-end, and either team could have had the win. It's ended a stalemate, and to be honest with you, most of the comments were that was the right result. Both teams deserved a point out of it, and they have got a point out of it. For Castletown, it was Elliot Butler, and for Valkyries, it was Liam Harrison.
Okay then, and in the last of the senior leagues this weekend, Mixed Division 3, early pushback was Castletown Cosney up against Harlequin C in a thrilling game that took place at QE2 here. Castletown Cosney 4, Harlequin C 5.
Half-time, 3-3. So this game was very much a close battle right to the end. Castletown Cosney, it was Harry Brimmer with 1, Zach Humes with 1, Liam McNugget with 1, and Eden Cannell. And then for Harlequin C, it was Caleb Blakemore, Addison Heaton, and some fella called Ben Cunningham. But I believe you and Paul made a new name for me with 3 goals today.
I've no idea what you're talking about. Actually, just to clarify to anyone who was listening to Paul Moran earlier, we did mention a Ken Bunningham had scored in this game. It was, in fact, this man sat across from me, Ben Cunningham. Just a bit of fun and games from us to Ben Cunningham over there. So it was Ben Cunningham with the hat-trick in that game, if anyone was confused as to how we'd read it out earlier.
I did have a few messages, I'm not going to lie.
I imagine you did. I imagine you did. Well, let's move on to the rest of Mixed Division 3. There were 2 games pushing back at 12:35. Another involving Castletown sides. Castletown Carrick up against Harlequins B. Harlequins B commanding winners today, 9-0 against Castletown Carrick.
Yeah, another brilliant performance, and this has put them clear by a few points at the top of the league, as you'll hear in our next result we'll talk about. But for Harlequins, it was Corey Corkill with 1, Callum Crellin with 1, Oren Blakemore with 4, Emma Warsfer with 1, and Pete Nuttall with 2.
And last but certainly not least, in Mixed Division 3, Backers D versus Ramsey Rookies at the NSC. All square in this one, and again, plenty of goals, 3-3.
3-3. I don't have the Ramsey Rookies goal scorers, unfortunately, or have they just come through? No, they haven't. Ramsey Rookies, like I say, if you can text your scorers through on the WhatsApp group we have, or 166177, be brilliant. For Backers D, though, it was Christian Davis, Neil Davids, and Ashley van den Sykes. But that result has now gave Harlequins B the advantage.
We'll have to wait and see how it unfolds over the coming weeks. Well, that's the senior leagues today. Let's move on to the mixed under-15s league as well, which has grown in size this season as well to accommodate a couple more teams. So we had 4 fixtures and 8 teams in action today in the mixed under-15s. We'll start out with the one early pushback in this league, which was Castletown Sharks up against Valkyries. Valkyries just edging this one in what was an entertaining game. Castletown Sharks 3, Valkyries 4.
Yeah, a brilliant game, and this just shows how much this under-15s league is going to be really exciting this year. For Castletown Sharks, it was Charlie Voles with 2 and Safi Mia with 1. And then for Valkyries, it was Liam Harrison with 2, so technically we'll let him have a hat-trick today, even though he scored 2 in this game and 1 in another game. Amber Buchanan and William Miller. Sorry.
And there were 3 other games in the mixed under-15s, all pushed back at 3:35, so the later starts. The first of those was over at Castle Rushen High School between Vikings and Castletown Sabres.
And that was a 12-1 win to Castletown Sabres. Vikings goal scorer was Henry Stewart. And then for Castletown, it was Jake Drummers, Lola Hornby-Wheeler with 4, Lauren Collister with 1, Connie Sellers with 1, Casper Grounds with 3, Aileen McCubbin with 1, and Faith Watson with 1.
Comprehensive victory for Castletown Sabres there. And in another one of the 3:30s, Harlequins against Ramsey Rogues and Rascals at Ramsey Grammar School.
And that was an 8-1 win to Harlequins against Ramsey. For Harlequins, it was Joey Wright with 3, Loeb Ollie Barber with 3, Caleb Blakemore with 1, and Faith Tier with 1. And I've just had the Ramsey Rose and Rascal goal scorer, and that was Charlie Dummers.
And rounding off the fixtures, we have Backers A versus Backers B. We didn't have this result when we read them out in the classifiers results earlier. Ben, has that situation changed?
And I've just had it, and the B team have overcome the A team.
There's one of the stories of the weekend.
Yeah, 5-3 to Backers B against their A team. Absolutely fantastic result there for the B team. George Lease with 3, Seb Leave and Ed Person with goals for Backers B. And then for Backers A, it was Ryan Cartwright, but yet again, a B team overcoming their A team.
Yeah, very interesting to see there. And with the mixed under-15s this year, we mentioned just before the fact that we've got a couple of extra teams in there. That increases, I suppose, the good competition within clubs as well to represent a certain team for your club.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you look at this league, you've got 2 Castletown junior teams, you've got 2 Backers junior teams, 1 Harlequins, 1 Ramsey, and 1 Valkyries, and 1 Vikings as well. So there's loads of participation by all the clubs. And I know that the other junior leagues, which take place on a Sunday, they're also just as packed as well. And one thing I will say just before we move on, this weekend, a lot of praises have been said for the umpires this weekend. Paul Hunter has had an absolute challenge this weekend, having to get umpires appointed to games. Some umpires have had to do 2 games this weekend. So, yeah, big shout out to all the umpires, and you have all been praised today. Every game has had their umpires praised.
Always great to hear as well from an officiating standpoint as well, because these are people like the players and coaches, giving up their own time to make things go ahead as well. And when you just hear comments like that, even from the outside, that must be very encouraging for the sport as a whole.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like I say, some umpires play and then umpire, or they play, or and vice versa. But yeah, it's great just to have umpires who are getting praise, because they don't want to be giving up their time to stand on the pitch being told you're wrong. But it's great that the umpires are getting praise, and we've got a lot of new umpires this year, and they're also getting a lot of praise for their first few games.
Well, that's a lovely way to end these, lovely notes to end these hockey results on. But we're not done with hockey, because, Ben, and you can give us the details on this one, we've got a live draw to come.
Yes, so we have got the Mixed Cup, the Mixed Plate, and the Mixed Bowl all to draw tonight. My glamorous assistant, who I'll repay with a Chinese as soon as we're finished, is going to pull out the numbers. And yeah, let's hopefully we see if we get some tasty ties.
Well, we'll start then with the Cup, and we have 8 teams in this, so just to run through them. They are Backers A, Backers B, Castletown Celts, Harlequins A, Ramsey A, Valkyries A, Vikings A, and Vikings B. So if we are ready to go over in the studio here, we can get the draw for the first round of the Isle of Man Hockey Mixed Cup competition. So please take it away.
Number 5
is Ramsey A.
against number 7.
Vikings A.
Number 8
is Vikings B.
against number 1.
Backers B. Backers A, sorry.
Number 2
Backers B.
against number 6.
Against number 6, which is Valkyries A.
Number 3
is Castletown Celts.
and number 4.
Against Harlequins A, a replay of the fixture that's been played today.
Okay, so that is the draw for the first round of the Isle of Man Hockey Mixed Cup. Games to be played on the 8th of October. So the roundup of the first round draw is Ramsey A versus Vikings A, Vikings B versus Backers A, Backers B versus Valkyries A, and Castletown Celts versus Harlequins. Now, Ben, taking a look at those fixtures, are there any that immediately stand out?
There's quite a few. The Castletown Celts against Harlequins game, that could be very interesting again because...
On the basis of today's game, a 7-3 win for Castletown. There was goals at either end.
Exactly. So, and I mean, pretty much, yeah, we've near enough got the same fixtures as we've had this weekend. But yeah, some interesting ties there. And like you say, they'll be played on the 8th of October.
Right, we will move on to the mixed plate competition. Now, slightly less teams in this one. There are 6 in this particular competition, and they are Backers C, Castletown Southerners, Castletown Camags, Valkyries C, Vikings C, and Valkyries B. They are the 6 teams involved in the plate competition this year. And the first round of that also to be played on the 8th of October. So if we're ready to go over that side, we will get the mixed plate draw underway.
Number 1
is Backers C
against number 6.
Valkyries B.
Number 5
Number 5 is Vikings C
against number 2.
against Castletown Southerners.
Number 4
Number 4 is Valkyries C, so they have a bye.
and number 3.
And that will be Castletown Camags with also a bye.
So that is the draw for the Isle of Man Mixed Plate competition. So if you just missed that a moment ago, the draw so far is as follows. Backers C versus Valkyries B. Vikings C versus Castletown Southerners. And then Valkyries C have a bye. And also with a bye are Castletown Camags. So again, Ben, I'll ask you, of those 2 ties that we've drawn for this first round, what do you make of those?
Yeah, they both look really interesting ties. I can't really pick a favourite out of them. They're both pretty close, to be fair. So, we'll see what happens when we come out of them. Just, I've got a correction to bring. The 7th of October is when these fixtures will play.
7th of October.
Not the
there
8th.
we go. Yes, we've got it
For
down on our
people
piece of
panicking,
paper
thinking
here.
we were going to be playing on a Sunday. We're not. We're playing on a Saturday.
Everyone in the hockey community, you can relax. We're not playing these games on a Sunday, so it isn't yet the 7th of October. These games are being played, the 7th of October. Okay, well, we'll shortly move on to the mixed bowl as well. And there are, we'll move on to the mixed bowl now. There are 7 teams in this particular competition. So before we make the draw, we'll just let you know the teams that are taking part in the mixed bowl. They are as follows. Backers Colts, Castletown Cushags, Ramsey Ravens, Valkyries D, Valkyries D, Vikings D, Vikings E, and Harlequins B as well. So, Ben, if we're ready, we can get the mixed bowl draw underway.
Okay.
Number 2
Castletown Cushags
against number 4.
against Valkyries D.
Number 5
Vikings D
against number 6.
Vikings E.
Number 1
Backers Colts
against number 7.
Harlequins B. So that's the bye for
number 3.
Ramsey Ravens.
And there is your draw for the Isle of Man Mixed Bowl competition in Manx hockey. So if you just missed it there, we will confirm that as follows. So the draw for the first round of the Mixed Bowl is Castletown Cushags versus Valkyries D, Vikings D versus Vikings E, Bacchus Colts versus Harlequins B, and a bye into the following round for Ramsey Ravens. So, Ben, again, your thoughts on that particular draw?
Yeah, I'm going to say that I think the tie of this competition is going to be the Bacchus Colts against Harlequins B. Bacchus Colts got promoted from Division 3 last season and just beat Harlequins B to it. So these two meeting in this competition is going to be very interesting. And then, again, the Vikings derby, that we were treated to last year, the D team beating the D team beating their C team. Could the E team maybe beat the D team? The way the D team are on form at the minute, I think it'll be a tough ask, but who knows?
Very well. We'll just round up all the draws. If you missed them a few minutes ago for the mixed cup competitions in Manx hockey, so for the first round, and these are to be played on the 7th of October. So we'll start with what was the draw for the mixed cup competition. It's Ramsey A versus Vikings A, Vikings B versus Bacchus A, Bacchus B versus Valkyries A, and Castletown Celts versus Harlequins. In the mixed plate, Bacchus C versus Valkyries B, Vikings C versus Castletown Southerners, and then there was a bye for Valkyries C, and also a bye for Castletown Camags. And in the bowl competition, Castletown Cushags versus Valkyries D, Vikings D versus Vikings E, Bacchus Colts versus Harlequins B, and a bye for Ramsey Ravens. Those games, as we said, to be played on the 7th of October. So, Ben, a busy day for hockey on the pitch and now off the pitch as well. But in terms of getting the cup competitions underway, we know the conversations have happened in the last week to make sure everything's got into place. You know, how good is it just to get the ball rolling on these competitions?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really come around quite quick. I mean, it's hard to believe that the season already started last weekend, and here we are now drawing the cup plate and the bowl, and the fixtures, like you say, the 7th of October, so not too long before these fixtures will be played. And then, like I say, we're looking at the plan is that we're going to be looking at having the cup fixtures all at one pitch, the plate fixtures all at one pitch, and the bowl fixtures all at one pitch. But times and locations are yet to be confirmed, but as soon as we have them, they'll be out and we'll let you know.
Well, Ben, a pleasure as always. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, finally tonight, we'll have a quick look ahead to tomorrow, and we're going to swerve back a little bit towards football because it's an important day in the season tomorrow as the women's football season gets underway. And one of the big talking points around women's football going into this season has been around recruitment, looking to get as many players and coaches involved in the local game as possible. Well, someone who is involved in those efforts on Ireland is Kerry Williams, who is involved in coaching football to girls in schools across the island. So what does she make of the interest in the local game? Well, we spoke to Kerry this week to find out more.
So I've been running the girls' club since I became a teacher, so for the last 5 years now. I've recently moved schools as well, and both schools, the uptake for girls' football is really, really good. I've just started 2 football trainings, one for year 3 and 4 and one for year 5 and 6, and both have got over 20 girls attending, which at a small school is quite a high number of children. Yeah. Which is really good. Last year at the girls 4, 5 and 6 tournament, there was over 30 teams at it. It was a really, really good event and the girls really enjoyed it.
Do you think there's an excitement growing for young girls to get involved with football over other sports like netball or hockey?
Yeah, I think there is, especially with the success of the Lionesses recently and the promotion of women's football like on Sky Sports. The clubs are getting bigger, you hear more. Man United have grown loads over the last couple of years, and there's more competition there within women's football, and I think that's obviously grown the love of the game for the girls and sort of made them realise that they have got the opportunity to play as well. How
important do you think the pathway is for schools to get young girls involved with football?
For me, I find it really important. I'm very passionate about it, especially from when I was younger. I loved playing football when I was younger, and there wasn't really a choice to play football. I can actually remember I used to play football at break times and lunch times, but when it actually came to playing the sport within school, at primary school, I was made to play netball and I wasn't allowed to play football. So to give that opportunity for children to do it within schools will hopefully grow the girls' football outside schools too.
What else do you think is needed to help grow the game?
I think more meetings, a little bit more communication. More women or children, well, not children, I suppose girls are open to giving it a go, especially the women's game. The last probably 5 years, it hasn't been as good. And there's been lower numbers. And it's sort of trying to promote it to the older generation as well, to sort of, give it a go, even if you've never played before, to, just come and try, especially at Maloo Women's Football Club. We have quite a few girls that we've encouraged to come and, just come and train with us. So they don't particularly want to play at the weekends at the moment, but they're happy to just come and give it a go.
That's Kerry Williams there chatting about the women's football and indeed girls' football across the Isle of Man. The women's season, the Canada Life Women's League, starts tomorrow. 3 games taking place at 2 p.m. You can find details of those over at the Manx Radio Sports Hub at manxradio.com. Well, that's all we have time for here on Saturday Sports Classified this week. Thank you very much for joining us for our latest roundup of the football, rugby and hockey action on Ireland. As ever, we'll now be handing back over to Radio Caroline for some easy listening over here on Manx Radio Crystal Clear DAB and AM 1368. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Have a wonderful Saturday evening and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. But for now, we'll be handing back to Radio Caroline. Thank you and have a very good evening.